We're rolling.
Evil did not die tonight.
No, it did not.
We went and saw Halloween Kills. So I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all talk for. Wait, hold on. Did it? Okay, it said please wait about something, but it's recording. Okay. I'll go ahead and let y'all talk about this because I feel like I had a completely different feeling about this movie than y'all did.
Oh no.
Okay, so I'll let y'all talk about how y'all feel.
So
Okay,
should we add, like, the spoilers? Or...
Let's do like premise first.
Okay.
So premise is it's a direct continuation of the previous Halloween movie, Halloween 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Which I feel like we all liked.
Yeah.
Yes,
we all liked.
liked.
Yeah.
And so this one follows now that Laurie Strode is now in the hospital after getting stabbed in the gut. Turns out Michael Myers, of course, did not die in that blazing fire in the previous film, and he is coming back with a vengeance.
Big time.
And so now the entire town of Haddonfield has decided to band together to take this guy down while he is still, continuing to commit these horrendous murders. And by the end, they do, after he's like murdered a whole bunch of people, murdered a whole bunch of main characters, the mob has him cornered, and they basically just beat the shit out of him, stab him, shoot him, everything. And he doesn't die. Surprise, surprise. He comes back to life again and murders Laurie Strode's daughter, not granddaughter, her daughter, and sets up the next film. So that's like the basic premise. I didn't like it as much as 2018 Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely thought it was a little weak in some places, but overall, like, it still makes me continue to remember why Michael Myers is such a terrifying figure to me, because of what he represents, and they touch on that in the film. He's a representation pretty much of what fear can do to people in a town. Like, you can't just kill fear, which is, kind of makes sense as to why Michael Myers can't die. He's the boogeyman. Mm-hmm. And, gosh, the fucking kills in this movie, like, every time, it's like, they still I hate eye gouging out kills. They freak me out so much. But, God, it's brutal.
All right. Mikey, you want to say what you...
yeah.
I think you had generally the same opinion.
Yeah, I love it, but not as much as the 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I didn't really care for much of the side characters.
Mm-hmm.
They try to make them feel important, but it really didn't feel like they were necessary. They were more like kill fodder for Michael, and
yeah.
I was more wanting to know what was going to be going through with Laurie and her daughter and her granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
And you get some of that, but they're like not even very important.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what they're going to set up for the next film. Like now, because we see all the end credits. We saw that the mom, what's her name, Karen?
I think her name is Karen.
Yeah. I think so.
Karen get murdered by the big boy Mikey.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to see how that's going to tie in with the last film of this trilogy.
Halloween Ends. I think is what they're planning on calling it.
That makes sense.
So we'll see how Laurie and Karen's daughter is going to be affected by this. So I'm really excited to see that. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, it felt like they kind of overcrowded this film a bit with characters. Like, it was nice to see all like the older versions of the characters from the original, and like it makes sense that they would come back to want to hunt this guy down.
Yeah,
like it makes the most sense. But then they had a lot of side characters in that felt like they were taking up too much screen time that could have been used for all the other characters. Which, I mean, like, I can kind of forgive it. It's of the Halloween franchise. And at this point, it's like there's not much I can be mad about, especially when we've already seen the worst throughout all the other sequels in the series. And speaking of sequels, I do also appreciate the little, as much as I didn't like this particular film, Halloween 3, I do appreciate the little nods to the mask in that movie. Like, I did not like Halloween 3, but it was a nice nod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'll give my spiel now. I hated this movie.
Really?
I hated this movie. I hated this is a movie. There's a lot of talk right now, especially as people begin to remake and reboot and come up with new ideas and sequels and things, where people in a lot of fandoms kind of get to the point where they say, this is bad because it doesn't understand the purpose and the vision of the original.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the worst cases of that. This does not understand what makes Halloween the perfect horror film. And it's like what you were saying, Mikey. This movie does not focus on Laurie Strode at all. And Laurie Strode was why Halloween worked. Because Laurie Strode, and it was one of the things that made 2018 so good, is because it still focused on that Laurie Strode is the reason, is the very thing Michael is obsessed with, and is what turns him into this unkillable monster. He's not a thing. He's not a monster. He's an idea. He's a essence of pure concentrated evil. This movie does not understand that. It has very good kills. Mm-hmm. I like that. But the thing is, Saw movies have some really good kills. There's no substance to them. Halloween is not a Saw film. Halloween is too smart to be something like it. And I like Saw films. There's some small films I really like too. Saw 2 is like my favorite out of the franchise. And I even liked Spiral. A lot of people didn't like Spiral. I was okay with Spiral. Oh gosh, I can't forgive this movie. I hate to sound like one of these fanboys that, rip apart like things like Last Jedi and stuff like that, or even No Time to Die, the new James Bond. People kind of had that response to it that, it ruins, everything about James Bond. I didn't feel that way about No Time to Die at all. But this is a movie, and what's weird is that it's made by the guy who made the 2018 one, which had a good understanding of what made 1978 so good. This is the exact opposite of that. It doesn't understand that that the brutal mutilations isn't the point of Halloween. Mm-hmm. It's all about Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, and they are side characters in this crowded movie that I never thought I would ever see a Halloween movie where the two words I would use to describe it is chaotic and unfocused. That's what this movie is.
I mean, I can see that. For sure. Like, I'm not gonna act like this was a perfect Halloween. It was probably more flawed than I wanted to admit that it was.
Oh, it's very flawed in my eyes.
Like, I enjoyed it for what it was. I can see why someone would very much not like it at all, because it is chaotic. It is unfocused. I very much wish there was a lot more Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode in there. Yeah. Because it's like she's like my main girl. Yeah. She's like my favorite final girl. It's like, come on, I want more. And like, especially now that I'm actually sitting here thinking about it. Thinking back to the trailer, I actually almost now feel very misled, because there was that whole shot in the trailer where I think it was Laurie was walking down this hospital corridor with a knife in her hand, and I'm just like, oh, she's about to fuck this guy up. But we didn't get that. I'm like, huh. I mean, maybe in the next movie, I guess. Mm-hmm. But now sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, damn, I kind of feel a little cheated on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, in general, I do get the point of why they made the decisions they made, because it's like, because he is this essence of evil and invokes fear, and everyone, he kind of feeds off of fear, that this whole angry mob thing obviously is not a good idea.
Mm-hmm. That to me was where the movie just hit rock bottom, was the hospital scene.
Yeah, chasing the other guy.
Who
didn't get much focus, by the way.
I get what they're doing. They're like, they have that line in it, he's turning us into monsters. I get what they're doing there. That's not the point of Halloween. That is not.
Like, so did they give that guy who, kind of just jumped out, like, in importance in, like, the 2018? Like, was he there at any point?
I don't think so.
You're talking about the insane guy?
Yeah.
Not that I remember.
Like, if it was not of any importance. And he wasn't important enough for me to remember it.
Yeah, it's just like, I can't say that I hate this film, really, just because, like, Halloween is definitely very near and dear to my heart, even though I can say I, like, hate a lot of the other sequels
Yeah.
in the franchise.
Understandable.
Because, I mean, like, obviously the quality is better. They did put at least a good amount of effort trying to do something.
It is.
Like, they tried to do... I feel like it almost suffers a little bit from what Halloween 2 suffered from, where they tried to insert things that just...
Didn't make sense.
Didn't work, really, because, I mean, in Halloween 2, you had the whole, like, revelation, oh, Laurie is his sister, his baby sister, which didn't make sense at all, and, like, it's like they were trying to do something different, and it didn't stick. And I feel like, now that I think about it, yeah, in this movie, they tried to do something new that didn't exactly stick.
Nah.
Right.
They're trying to fix what's not broken.
Yeah.
Is what was exactly what I felt with it when them trying to add in all this extra stuff, like all these characters from the past. I don't feel like they have them doing so much, and I don't see what the point is. I don't see like there was any payoff to having Tommy and the babysitter and the survivors of the very original. I don't see what any payoff is. It is just to have them all butchered.
Yeah, because they all get killed at the end.
Yeah, no matter what, it's just like, and then like. The only character I did kind of feel bad for was Cameron.
Oh, poor Cameron.
Cameron was just there. Like, he's just like, I don't know what's
tried.
going on. He didn't know what was going on until he's like, oh, well, shit, this guy here stabbing, killing all my friends. And then when he saw his dad die, I'm just going to say character's decision.
I'll tell you what, too. Poor Allison, man. She's a witness all this.
Yeah.
It's going to be burned into her head forever.
Man, therapy is going to...
But
that poor girl's going to need a lot of therapy.
But yeah, but even that's where, like, even just from a basic horror movie standpoint, that's where I had more problems. Like, even that scene where he kills the boyfriend, it goes so long of him just taking this like, just repeated. Like, there's lots of kills in this that go on the verge of sadistic. And again, that's not only is that not in the nature of Halloween, that's something that just, again, is what I hate about the worst of the Saw films. Like, and from a lot of these slasher films in general, like, it succumbs to the worst of the worst when Halloween is the best of the best. Like, I'm with you. I wish this movie was so much better than it is, because there's a lot of effort put into it. It's by David Gordon Green, same as the guy. He's made lots of fantastic films. George Washington is a fantastic film from 2000. It was like a coming of age story. He's done lots of even good comedies. He did Pineapple Express, really funny film. I
have to wonder...
This has to be maybe the worst movie I've ever seen from him.
I have to wonder if it suffered during the pandemic, because I imagine it was still, like, in production process during when the pandemic was happening.
Yeah.
And I wonder if maybe it unfortunately had what a lot of films... It had, like, the opposite of what other films had, where other films had, like, time, like, hey, let's rethink this scene, let's retry, maybe we can make it better. I feel like maybe they might have tried it with this one, and they kind of backtracked a little bit. Like, maybe that's what happened. I can't say for sure, but it's a possibility.
Like, they had good concept for the film. Like, I will agree with that. Because you don't really see many horror films, like, taking on, like, the main threat of the town. Like, I really enjoyed that concept. I was like, hey, this guy just killed, like, a lot of people. We probably should just handle it ourselves. I mean,
especially when, like, the police have not exactly been reliable in past installations.
Oh, well, the sheriff in the cowboy hat, he's the whole reason you even had all the killings in the first one. He's like, we can't cancel Halloween. Yes, you can.
He succumbed to the Jaws mayor's logic.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this guy's clearly never seen a Jaws movie in his life. Clearly, this is a bad idea.
But, yeah, there was other things I was going to say about this. What was some other things? But yeah, like, they have all this pointless backstory. The whole opening of this is all the way back when I guess Michael first began killing stuff. Like, when Dr. Loomis shows up, and I guess it's when it's the I guess it's implying that this is the very last killing before Loomis decided to have Michael completely, placed in an asylum.
Mm-hmm.
But even that feels so feels like a big slap in the face of the original, because it implies that Loomis at one time wanted to kill Michael. And again, that to me just feels something like so out of character.
Mm-hmm.
From like, I don't know, it's been a while since I've seen the original one. I don't know if Loomis ever talked about killing Michael.
I mean, he did shoot him 6 times in the back in the first movie.
True.
Yeah, but that was after he had escaped and gotten,
Yeah.
Like,
this,
to me, that just feels, again, this just feels like something that doesn't understand the nature of
well,
the
I
movie
felt that the
it's a sequel to.
flashback happened, like, after Loomis shot him, like, 6 times in the back.
No,
And they caught him.
I didn't think that's...
Maybe I heard it wrong.
I thought that was, like, No, I don't think that was from the very first
No,
film.
I don't think it was in the first film.
No, that was what that was is that's supposed to be, I guess, something that happens before the events of the first film.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense,
we
though.
have-
Or after, because he...
Yeah, because at that point, like, from the first film, he had been incarcerated up until the point that he escaped. Like, there had ever been, like, a mention of him escaping prior.
I'm gonna have to read this on Wikipedia for you, though. Again, this is...
I can pull it up
you
right
can pull
here.
it up if you want. Again, if that's something else, if that's, that's this movie's fault if it can't get that straight anyways. Like,
Yeah, let me...
I don't know.
see.
This...
Wikipedia, what do you have to tell us?
I mean, wow. I will say this is not one of the worst movies I've seen all year.
No.
It's not the worst
No.
horror movie I've seen all year.
No.
This is I would still rather rewatch this over Old.
Absolutely.
But man, this...
Nothing's gonna get worse than Old
No.
for me. That's like the lowest bar for this year.
Yeah, but no, this movie to me, as much of an SJW think piece that Candyman was,
Mm-hmm.
I still that movie at least had respect for the vision and the ideas of the movie it was a sequel to.
Okay, so Hawkins awakens and remembers the events of 40 years earlier during the search for Michael Myers following his escape after being shot. So this was after Loomis shot him 6 times.
Okay, it was.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess that would make sense for him to want to kill him there. Okay. That fixes a small problem. None of the big problems I have with
It's
it.
a tiny one. And also the flashbacks were very inconsequential to the film anyway. Like, I felt like the film may have been fine without it.
Yeah. There's just lots of stuff in this movie that they have packed this movie to the gills, and yet I still feel like none of it makes it worth watching. It was a very, like I said, only thing I walk out of this movie is just a very unpleasant taste of just one of the most sadistic things I've seen in a while, and there's not any substance. I
mean, I'll say, like, I don't feel like I wasted $6.59 to watch this. I felt like I wasted $15 to watch Old.
Yes,
I definitely
absolutely.
I don't think I wasted $6 to watch it.
No.
So, like, it wasn't perfect. It was very flawed, but I didn't mind it. I think that's my thing. I didn't mind it.
Okay.
I mean, it's better than like.
I didn't love it, but I didn't mind it either.
I mean, it's better than like part 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's better than any of the other sequels or reboots in the franchise.
Yeah,
But
but those
it's-
barely don't even acknowledge, and then you have the ones that just completely come up with their own timelines.
And oddly enough, I'd almost put Halloween 2 above this one.
Really?
Even though it's like explanations are convoluted, I definitely felt like it still like stuck to what Halloween was.
Yeah.
But it's still that means it's above every other movie in the franchise too.
Yeah, and the Rob Zombie ones, even like those were just those. The problem with those is those were Rob Zombie films. You had where that was the same way. It had this pointless backstory, which is basically just every killer redneck character that Rob Zombie has ever put in a film. Yeah, y'all know he's making a Munsters movie.
Really?
They're actually building an entire like set like out in, I forget where it is. Is it maybe Hungary or somewhere in Europe, where he's built the neighborhood. They've recreated the neighborhood from the Munsters.
Wow.
He wants to make a Munsters movie. Okay.
I mean,
Sure.
I'm kind of done with
His horror, I guess.
well, not his horror. I'm just done with like taking things from like taking shows from like the 60s, like the latter part of the 20th century, and turning them into live action movies or even animated movies.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of done with that because some of those have already been perfected. You know, Addams Family has already been perfected in the 90s.
Dark Shadows was an absolute
I don't know.
crap
I didn't
fest.
like Dark Shadows.
I did not like.
I felt weird watching it.
I love the show. The show is like it's like a Twilight. It's like Twilight Zone a little bit.
See, I never even watched the show, but the movie still made me uncomfortable.
The show is like a combination of like Twilight Zone and Young and the Restless. It's like it's a gothic soap opera with like supernatural stuff in it.
Okay.
And then they took the movie and they couldn't decide if they wanted it to be a comedy. It was like part parody, part modernized. Well, it wasn't even modernized. It was still set in the 70s, but it was like it didn't know what it wanted to be. Like it didn't know if it wanted to be just a recap of the original series, but it was so weirdly funny, and it wasn't even funny. It was corny. It was so corny.
I remember like a friend sat me down to watch it, and I was just like,
yeah,
and like she was like, I'm like, yeah,
it's very.
Now I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I really like the show. They tried to reboot it in the 90s with I can't remember anybody else who was in it, but it actually had Joseph Gordon-Levitt as the little boy. It was like one of his first roles. He played the little boy in a reboot they did in the 90s that only made one season. But I love the original one. It's a really cool. It is a very slow because, like I said, it is a soap opera and it embraces that soap opera-ness of it. But it's cool. It's got vampires and witches and all kinds of neat stuff in it.
Nice.
Well.
Our
ratings?
Yeah, I guess we can go to ratings and then we can talk trailers.
So it's out of 4, right?
Yeah.
2.5.
2.5. Okay.
2.5.
2.5. 1.5. It was almost a 2. It was just by the time if it didn't just feel like it was just such a haphazard mess by the end, especially if it didn't feel just so bitter and just didn't just anger me with like that riot in the hospital scene.
Right.
That again, that's not Halloween. You know, and even like the stuff like with the unmasking, they keep doing this thing where they unmask him for like a brief second. And I don't understand, and that was one of the things that I didn't understand even about the first one. There's no point to unmasking him. They unmasked him in 1978, and the whole point of that was to show you that evil, you know, it's meant to show you the nature of evil. There's always something human beneath it.
Right.
And I don't know what they're just, I don't understand what they're just trying to they're just echoing, you know, a vastly superior thing when they do it. And here it was in a movie that I hated this movie long before they did that.
I feel like there is like a symbolism for it. Like, hey, this is his weakness. He's still human under the mask. Like, we can take him down. For what I thought what was going to happen was, like, take off his mask. He's defenseless. Start beating him. Then we could kill him. Like, kill this human that's been torturing our town. And
that was the whole point of the one from the 78, but that one did it so much more effectively. But
even then, like, you know, even though this wasn't the best of the top Halloween movies to come out, it still makes me completely terrified of Michael Myers. Like, he's the one serial killer from the slasher genre that still terrifies me. Like, Freddy, Jason, I'd say the only other one terrified me is Leatherface.
Texas Chainsaw is fantastic. I love Texas Chainsaw. I even love, like, I would even put stuff like the original Child's Play above like stuff like Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, I even like stuff like that. Gosh, what else was I was gonna say something else. But I was gonna talk about but like there's things about this, like even like the stuff with Laurie Strode. Like the first one ended on this note of like empowerment for Laurie Strode finally, you know, because again what made that one so good was it focused very much on the relationship between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers.
Right.
And there was this sense of like empowerment, but also this sense of fear, which is something I brought up with like A Quiet Place 2 when you and I went and saw that with Nicole. I brought that up, how they have this sense of empowerment, but these things are still scary.
Right.
There was no real sense of empowerment in this movie because they underused Jamie Lee Curtis, and Michael Myers just wasn't scary to me.
You never underuse Jamie Lee Curtis.
No,
that is a bit of a crime.
Yeah, you don't do that, especially if it's a Halloween film. But also, Michael wasn't scary anymore to me. The way they introduce him in this movie is him wobbling down the sidewalk while this goofy Barney Fife cop, you know, who ends up being who grows up to be the cop that gets stabbed in the jugular in 2018, who you find out still alive, which fuck that, you're stabbed in the jugular.
Oh yeah, like
that is a huge plot hole in this film.
I guess they needed their exposition man.
Yeah, I wasn't scared by Michael Myers in this, and he's not only is Jamie Lee Curtis downgraded.
Oh, also, can we we can't ignore the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis or Laurie Strode was taken down by like a kick to the abdomen.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
right after she got out.
Yeah, she had already been stabbed anyway.
But it's honestly, after a woman takes a syringe full of morphine, stabs herself with it, and then gets up and starts like just going, it's like she cannot go down that fast. This is Laurie Strode we're talking about.
But don't worry, we got the third movie left.
I know.
So that means she's gonna get all her screen time back and her proper pay probably.
It's like, come on, they all built her up like she was getting ready to just take Michael Myers down, and she gets taken down by a kick to the gut.
Yeah.
That's sad, honestly. That's I think the one thing that really ticked me off about the film. Like I wouldn't say I'm ticked off about a lot of the film, but that part particularly ticked me off.
Now here's the thing: are they gonna do like another time skip? They're not gonna do another time skip.
Well, it's still gonna take place on Halloween, I guess, because the next one's gonna be called Halloween Ends. It's gonna be when this night is finally ends. You know,
so it's gotta be the next night then.
But yeah, but what I was saying was, it's not only do they downgrade Jamie Lee Curtis to a supporting character in her own movie, they turned Michael Myers into the most generic slasher killer I've seen since probably the murderer in the 2005 House of Wax.
Really?
I did not feel like this even had to be Michael Myers. I think
it's just because the plot didn't really serve him correctly.
It doesn't. It doesn't serve him, Laurie Strode, or even what John Carpenter created back in 1978, which is still a masterpiece.
I will say, kick-ass rendition of the Halloween thing, though.
Oh yeah, I was like,
let's pump it up.
Still a great song, and the opening sequence is good.
The pumpkins,
burning, and dripping blood.
If I had turned it off there, I would have had a better time than if I had sat through this whole movie.
But I definitely feel like, a Halloween film definitely banks on its opening title sequence. And this one was
just like James Bond,
Can I say I just kind of laugh when Jason was Mikey was kind of going against everybody, and for some reason everybody was just having a hard time fighting him, even though he got outnumbered twice in the film. Actually, 3 times. In the film.
Well, because that's one of the things they even determined from the very beginning was that he like I said, he's not a person, he's an essence, in that he's always going to be fueled by Laurie Strode's very life.
You can't kill Michael Myers.
Nah. Because even in the first one, remember, he gets thrown out the window, and they're like, he's gone.
Shot
and
6
he's
times.
because he's not human. Even though there's a human beneath the mask, he's not human.
Which is, just is why I'm constantly terrified of him, is because he's human, he's not, he can still get you no matter what. He's like everyone's worst nightmare, this unkillable thing.
I'm really hoping that I was really excited to see this as a trilogy after the first one, but after seeing this, I kind of wish that first one had just been very self-contained, because now I feel like this one actually,
I feel like the third one's gonna make up for
I hope so. I hope it does. I hope it does.
I'm willing to give it another chance, just because I love the house. Just because I love Halloween so much.
I also rewatch the film if I'm going back and just I want to go on a Halloween marathon or something. Not watch the bad ones, but the decent ones.
Yeah, the good ones. What few there are.
I mean, we can say that's better than our boy Freddy
Yeah.
after his the
Yeah.
fourth movie.
The only good ones of that series were the first one and the third one.
Mm-hmm.
I love the third one.
The second one was alright, but it was like.
What do you think of New Nightmare?
Oh,
I have
that
not
was
seen
okay.
New Nightmare.
That was
I
actually
haven't seen that
decent.
one either.
That was actually
Like,
decent.
yeah.
Yeah, you like that?
seen
Yeah,
one.
I recommend it.
So I guess
That's the one where he's like killing all the actual actors of it, right?
Yeah.
It's that one I think is more it's supposed to be more meta.
Yeah.
I thought I'd heard that one's more meta. I'd never seen it.
I feel
but
like that'd
think
be
that's what
like
I've heard.
fun. That sounds fun
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, I guess we can do trailers now.
Yeah. Because there were a couple that were like repeats, but then we got like some new versions of other stuff.
Well, we got Eternals, which we've done.
Awesome.
we've gotten
Like, at
that one
least, like,
so many
3-4
times.
times,
now.
something like that.
We've got Eternal. Okay. The first one we got was Nightmare Alley,
Yes.
the Guillermo del Toro detective thriller or whatever that this is.
I'm intrigued.
I know.
I'm interested.
Yeah, I am too, just because I love just about everything Del Toro has ever made.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's gonna.
This is right up his alley, so to speak.
But what's cool about this is the first time that, as far as I know, this is the first like completely realistic film he's gonna make, because everything he's ever made has had either monsters, aliens, or ghosts in it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time that he's ever made something that looks like it could be 100% realistic. Like it's like a detective thriller, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't know anything about the plot. I know this is based on, I know it was like a hard-boiled novel from like the 30s that was later made into like a film noir.
Yep.
That's supposed to be really good amongst like noir fans, though, like it's like a really, like it's a classic. And so it's both an adaptation of that novel and a remake of the film. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in seeing this. Great cast.
Oh yeah, I will
Great
say,
freaking cast.
I will say, when I first saw it, I almost mistook Bradley Cooper for Ray Fiennes.
Yeah, it's Bradley Cooper, Kate Blanchett, Toni Collette, Willem Dafoe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Was I missing somebody?
A lot of good actors.
There's like some other people that
Yeah.
that didn't stand out as prominently as they did to me, but yeah, like big cast, great cast.
Another trailer was Black Phone. I think that's what.
Black Phone. Yeah, I only heard about this one just recently. It's from the director of Sinister and Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange.
And I will say about that trailer is that I felt like it kind of told me the entire movie.
Yeah.
In it.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like they revealed a little too much in that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be completely wrong. I've been wrong before. But...
I kind of got a little bit of what I got kind of from it was a combination of
I got Sinister vibe.
Sinister vibe. Yeah. Well, I was also thinking more of like, oh gosh, maybe something kind of like Ma. I didn't really like Ma all that much, but I kind of got that vibes in a good way, and also very much It.
Yeah.
There's even like a yellow rain, the girl's wearing a yellow rain slicker like Georgie.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Let's
like
just hope she doesn't lose her arm.
I know, right?
and the balloons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, this is the second horror-based movie that we've seen a trailer for where dreams are involved. Because the other one that's doing that now is Last Night in Soho, which we also got a trailer
which
for.
we got a trailer for, and it was a different trailer than the ones we've gotten a couple times. This one made it more, like, it takes longer for you to figure out it's a horror film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is like for the people who haven't seen the first trailer yet.
Yeah.
Who don't know yet that it's full-on thriller.
Because it looked that one made it look more like the kind of movie that Woody Allen made with Midnight in Paris. Like, it looks more like it's going to be something like a romantic comedy or something. And then it suddenly turns into, like, Matt Smith stalked this girl and probably killed her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm still... When does it come out again? I forgot.
End of the month. Comes out in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, all these movies.
And then French Dispatch comes out
next week. Yeah, or this coming week. Yeah.
Which we didn't get a trailer for, but oh well.
Yeah. So yeah, that was everything. Eternals, Black Phone, Nightmare Alley, and a different Last Night in Soho.
Yep.
Yeah, so a little bit different, a little bit of the same.
I'm okay with all of
Just
this.
like this Halloween film we saw. For better or for worse. All right. I guess we can go ahead and end it here.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all, are you? I know you're down. Do you want to go see French Dispatch next week? Is that your kind of film, French Dispatch?
Wes Anderson.
I'll think about it.
Yeah,
I might take.
It's the guy who did Grand Budapest Hotel. He did Fantastic
Moonrise Kingdom.
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
you know, I love Mr. Fantastic Fox, so
Uh-huh.
I might actually watch it. Just
Yeah.
let me think.
This one's going to be more adult because this one's going to be R-rated. So this
Yeah.
is a more
Yeah.
adult. But it's by the guy who did like, he did Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Bill
I
And
Murray.
all of his films have Bill Murray.
Yeah, Bill Murray is in just about all of them.
Owen Wilson.
So I might
who
watch.
else? Saoirse Ronan's in this one, I think.
She was in
And
Grim Budapest. Jason Schwartzman, I don't know if he's in this one. But I
Tilda
know
Swinton's in this one, and she's almost in everything.
Frances McDormand's in a lot of them. I don't know.
You know who's missing? Edward Norton.
Edward Norton. I wonder if he might be in
He
this
might be
one.
in this. You know, I'm actually
Cameo.
I'm gonna look up the full cast right now, just
All right.
so I can make sure we're not missing anyone.
Well, here, I'll go ahead and cut it here then. All right. We'll see y'all next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.